Jericho Road. The Jericho Road. It is 17 miles of a road between Jerusalem and Jericho. In those 17 miles, the elevation drops 3,600 feet. It is a steep, winding, descending, remote road that for centuries has been a place of robbery and corruptness. It happened on the Jericho Road. It always happens on the Jericho Road. 17 miles of violence. It is the symbol of suffering. The Jericho Road. The Jericho Road is 17 rooms of the corridor of the nursing home where Myrtle lives. She has Alzheimer's. The Jericho Road. It is the 17 rooms on either side of the hall. It is a place of suffering. The Jericho Road. It is a 17-floor tenement building in Chicago. I had friends who lived there. It was a frightening place with great family violence. The Jericho Road. It is 17 blocks on First Avenue in downtown Seattle where many people live who are mentally handicapped or are teenagers on the run. The Jericho Road. It is a 17-mile border between warring nations, Nicaragua and El Salvador, Namibia and Angola, Palestine and Jerusalem. Thousands and thousands of people have been killed on those borders. The Jericho Road. It is 17 miles of road that goes right through the heart of Calcutta. The Jericho Road. It is the 17 blocks of road that my grandparents lived on, fighting to raise 4 children on food rations during the Depression. You see, the Jericho Road is any place where there is oppression, any place where people are robbed of their dignity, robbed of their love, robbed of food and clean water, and robbed of their freedom. The Jericho Road is always with us. The Jericho Road. Now Luke relates a parable that Jesus told the lawyer when he asked how to gain eternal life and who is my neighbor. We're going to take a look at a parable inside the parable. One day a priest went to visit friends in Jericho. Of course he went down the Jericho Road. Now he was a very religious man. And when the priest saw the man laying in the ditch, he was mortified. He thought the man was dead and gave him the last rites. Then the priest ran back to his parish and gave a great sermon about the Jericho Road. Shortly later, a preacher walked down the road and was appalled by what he saw. He went back to his church, and you know what he did? He taught a course called the Biblical Understanding and Perspective of Poverty. He showed films of people being beaten up on the road. Everybody felt rotten, and then they prayed. Now, a left-wing activist went down the Jericho Road, and he was angry by what he saw. So he went and organized a demonstration. He made signs. He recruited youth and adults. He got the colleges and schools to shut down for the day in protest of the violence. A revivalist didn't go to the Jericho Road, but he saw it on television. He had over 65,000 people fill the Jerusalem Dome to pray for peace. Oh, what a day. A political right politician got folks at the city council to help solve the problem of the Jericho Road. He said they must raise employment and change the economy. Tax breaks for the rich gave the rich more money to make more investments, which should have made jobs for the poor. Should have. The council increased the sales tax on the poor so they would help pay for maintaining the Jericho Road. Now, while the priest, the preacher, the left-wing activists, the revivalists, and the political right were all busy, the man on the Jericho Road, died. How do you feel hearing this parable in the parable? The Jericho Road is always with us in some shape or form. People being robbed of their dignity, love, food, clothing, and the value as a human being. The Jericho Road is any place where there is oppression and suffering. Part of the lesson of the Jericho Road that Jesus talked about is non-involvement. Don't get involved. People are afraid to get involved. I've heard of injured people suing those that tried to help. That makes those who help afraid to help. People say they are too busy. They are suffering from fear of safety, money, time. Excuses, excuses. Jesus condemned that attitude. He expects all Christians to be good Samaritans. You can't be a Christian and not get involved. Getting involved is an invitation to be merciful and kind to those in need. My dad was a truck driver most of his life. He drove a semi. Back in those days, there were no cell phones and no CBs to call for help. Truck drivers were often the first on the scene of an accident. My dad told me stories, so many stories. One, he had helped pull a man from a burning car. He also helped a family whose car had run out of gas. So many stories. When I read the story of the Good Samaritan, I think of my dad. He taught me to help those that I could. The Jericho Road. It teaches us to have a gentle heart of generosity, kindness, mercy, and tenderness. When we see people suffering, you can't pay people to help. Jesus wants to have hearts of love. You can't buy a heart of love. You can't pay someone to have a heart of love. You can buy things. Things are just that, things. You don't have a heart of love. You can pay someone to mop floors or make beds. But those are actions, and not always of love, just jobs. Jesus wants us to have hearts of love. They are a gift from God. And amazingly, you don't have to be a Christian to have a heart of love. There are hearts of love in Muslims, Jews, Buddhists, Christians, Hindus. There are loving hearts all over the world. What God wants is for all people to have hearts of love. And as I was sitting writing this message, I am listening to the radio. A news bulletin comes on. There has been another shooting. Dallas, Texas. People were killed. People were injured. The police. There was a march, a protest march against police brutality. And yet they shot the police. The Jericho Road. I cried yet again at hearing that news. I prayed. No, I couldn't help right then, but I know I have a heart of love. I can help those in my apartment complex. I can read a book to an aging friend who can't see good. I can put your child on a swing while babysitting so the mom can take a break. I can volunteer at the local animal shelter. The Jericho roads are all around us. Jews and Samaritans didn't like each other very much. Yet a Samaritan helped a Jew. The Samaritan had a heart of love. Where can you help on the Jericho roads? How can you help on the Jericho roads? Where is your Jericho road? Is your heart a loving heart? What is your Jericho road? Mahatma Gandhi had a saying, your beliefs become your thoughts become words, Your words become actions. Your actions become habits. Your habits become values. And your values become destiny. The call to go into with a loving heart is challenging and transforming on the Jericho road. Amen.